Morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. I realise it's been probably a fortnight since I last did a video, and you can imagine the reasons for that is because it's been very cold these last couple of weeks. As you can see, the Allegro has been tucked up pretty much all of that time. I'm currently not using it because of the salt on the roads, so the battery's currently off inside, so it's not going to be subjected to any unnecessary frost. The Honda's been doing all the work, as you can imagine, doing really well, as it always does. And what I thought I'd do, just to keep content rolling out and hopefully to keep you guys entertained, is to do a video of my car history. So let's talk about it. So my first car was a 1.2 16 valve Renault Clio from 2003, and it was a fun little car, but unfortunately it was quite unreliable. It was playing with electrical problems, and whilst it did give me the freedom that obviously you love in a first car, it was a bit of a painful 2 years owning it, really. So I had it from June 2012 to January 2015, and that was when I sold it because all the gremlins had been cured by that point, but by then I was fed up with it, so I thought I'll sell it while it's still worth something. So that's what I did. My second car was this fine thing, 1.68 valve Vauxhall Astra 51 reg, and this was a car that had quite a long connection in my family because it was bought more or less from new in 2002 by my dad, and he owned it just for 6 months because he was then offered a company car. My grandparents at the time needed a second car, so they had the Astra, and they kept it for well over a decade. And then after I'd finally lost my patience with the Clio, they didn't need the Astra anymore as a second car. They just needed one between them. So my grandpa, bless him, very kindly let me have the Astra. And that did me very well. That's the car that's lasted me the longest of any of my cars. It lasted me 4.5 years, that did. Got it up to 100,000 miles before it eventually ended up biting the dust. It was just getting very old and clattery, but probably still my most favourite car that I've had, mainly because of the sentimental value that's attached to it in the family. It was also the car that got me to my grandpa when he was dying of cancer, and it was quite fitting really that that was the car that got me there when it was the one that he'd given me. And it was quite sad to say goodbye to that car, but it was getting old and I did need something that was working a bit better. But that car never let me down in the 4.5 years, and I had it, and a truly brilliant car. And you still see some around now, so really is a testament to how well they were built in the first place. So my first fun hobby car, if you like, was this facelifted Mark II Mazda MX5, the Nevada Special Edition. So it had the alloy wheels, as you can see, and the leather seats. And I had that alongside the Astra. And I had that, I think it was about 2 years. It was Easter 2017 to about the same time in 2019. And I did enjoy it. It was a fun car. And this picture here and next to after it are when I took it with my dad on a road trip to Wales. And that was one of the best trips I've ever done. It did the Welsh roads really well. But eventually, after 2 years, I'd sort of had my fun with it, really. And it never really felt special enough to be a hobby car. It was still really good fun, but I just decided to sell it after that. I'd had my fun with it. It was still in reasonably good condition, got a fair price for it. So I just thought, no regrets, I've had fun. So I decided to sell it. After selling the Mazda in Easter 2019 and then part exchanging the Astra in June 2019, that's when I got this lovely Seat Ibiza 1.4 Tocker. Great fun car, never ever let me down. Quite an attractive car, I thought, always quite a nice style thing. And yeah, really pleasant experience owning this car. And the plan was for me to own this car for a long time. I had it on finance. It's by far the most modern car I've ever owned. But unfortunately, my time with it was cut short after 3.5 years. It was November 2022, where unfortunately a woman who clearly wasn't blessed well in the brains department decided to pull out in front of me at a roundabout, and it damaged the car. And even though the damage was minimal, insurance decided to write it off, even though it was just incomprehensible to do that. But I'm sure people have experienced that with insurance companies before. So that was a sad end, but fortunately the car is on the road. As I imagined, it was put back on the road and obviously sold by the salvage company. And I did check this morning that it's still very much on the road, not getting any advisories on MOTs. So it's really good to know that this car is still around and doing someone proud, because it did me very proud. And if you're after a cheap, fun, attractive car that's practical and reliable, definitely go for one of these. The next purchase I made in June 2022 was this glorious 1978 Triumph Spitfire 1500. Those who followed my YouTube from the beginning will know that this was the first car featured on the channel. My first ever classic car. It was a really fun 2 years I had with this. It taught me lots about cars, and that's partly why I bought it, because Spitfires have a great reputation of being accessible and easy to work on, which it was. I got it for a good price as well. I bought it for a really nice old guy in Skegness, and he'd originally worked at the Triumph factory in Coventry. So he said to me when we were talking that he probably ended up building this car back in the 70s. And it was really fun, as I've said. It was certainly a very special car, because that's what any car that's a hobby car has to feel. It's got to feel special in its own way, and this definitely did. The main thing that was frustrating about it was trying to get it to fuel correctly, because it was a twin carb setup, and that was a bit fiddly. So I did have to fight with the mixture quite a few times, and there was obviously a few things that put it off the road for a little bit. And obviously moving house without a garage in January 2024 meant that the Spitfire wasn't kept at my new house. It was still kept at my mum's, and that just made it not very practical. And I thought after that, I've had my fun with it. It's been a great thing, and I got it for a generous price, so therefore maybe I could get a bit of a profit and sell it on. And I managed to do that. I sold it to a guy local to me, actually, who actually one of my teaching colleagues knew, because he was the parents of children that this colleague of mine used to know at an old school of his. So it's amazing how small the world is, really, isn't it? I do miss this car, but I needed something classic form that I could just use more regularly without fear of having it outside in rain and everything, and just more practical. And the Spitfire, for as brilliant as it was, you could only really use it on certain days, i.e. when it was always sunny and always warm, and you couldn't really get much in it. So that's why I ended up parting with it in the end. And then we get on to the current car collection. This amazing Honda Jazz that I still have to this day, as I've just said. 58 reg, 1.4 petrol. Bought after the Seat obviously was written off in the crash that I talked about earlier. And this isn't a finance car, it's mine outright, so not having to pay finance does help out with this quite a lot. And it's amazing, it's really practical. It isn't the most fun car to drive in the world, but the engine's eager enough and you can enjoy yourself with that. But the whole point of buying this car was need something reasonably priced, economical, practical, and pretty much bulletproof mechanically. And that's what it's proved to be in this last 2 years. It's just done everything you want from it. I drive it a lot, put a lot of miles on it. I put 20,000 miles on it in just over 2 years, and it's never complained at all. So really pleased with the purchase of this car, and the plan is to keep this for as long as I possibly can. Just serves me so well. And even though some people on here are going to say, oh, what are you talking about a Honda Jazz for? It's not an interesting car. Well, things like this deserve a lot of attention. Brilliantly designed car, and wonderful for just doing everything you want from a car. And last but by no means least, we have my current pride and joy, my 1975 Series 1 Austin Allegro 1100 in Harvest Gold. Purchased in August 2024. I'd almost go as far to say as this is the best car I've ever owned. Because even though the Honda does more for me in terms of more driving, and it's obviously better at longer journeys, the Allegro just never fails to put a smile on my face. It's got the wonderful classic feels I've told you about, but it's just so dependable. It's used so much whenever I can, weather depending. I don't use it on the salt roads, obviously, as I've explained earlier. But I just love it. Easy to work on, and a seriously underrated classic car. And I'm looking forward to showing many more adventures on this. So I hope you found that interesting. Next time, I'm hoping to have a video on the Allegro, hopefully within the next week or two, because the weather is going to start getting warmer. I can get the battery back on, not worry about salt doing anything to it. So hopefully see you guys very soon. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Keep safe during this cold weather, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.